Why, hello, and welcome back to Even More News, the first and only news podcast. My name is Katy Stoll.
Katy Stoll, I knew it. Thank you so much. Welcome to the first and only time I will say, no thank you. I hate being here. And back to normal. Thanks so much for having me. I'm Cody. I love it to be here.
Cody loves it to be here,
I love it to be
folks. Here. And Jonathan is also here for once.
Hi. Love it to be here. Leave it or love it.
Love it to be here.
Leave it here.
Love it to be here.
4 podcast names in one.
We love it to be here.
We have holidays. Of course we do.
That we do.
Okay, interesting. Friday, May 2nd, School Lunch Hero Day.
Huzzah!
Dedicated to those men and women who make the cafeterias in the schools a better place to be. What was your favorite school lunch? Do you remember the smiling face who served you? I don't, unfortunately. I'm sorry to the...
That's okay. To the heroes,
lunch
though.
To the heroic
I agree with the holiday. I agree.
I took it easy on them I brought my lunch every day. My mommy packed me a lunch every day until the last day of school, and I remember her standing at the counter, tears in her eyes, saying, "This is the last lunch I'm ever gonna pack." Yeah. So, but maybe a couple times I was like, "It's pizza. I want to get pizza or something."
Pizza day and tater tot day. Those are the big ones.
My mom was a caterer, and you would think that would mean I have great lunches, but my mom would be at work well before I would get up in the morning. So my dad, who is not a caterer, would give me lunches, and they were the foulest thing.
Oh no!
Foul.
I remember, I remember very clearly one specific lunch. So he was my lunch lady. It was ketchup and bologna on just white bread. And let me tell you what happens. But a lot of ketchup, so that it became like a soaked piece of ketchup bread, and then just a slab of bologna. And then I'll same lunch. Remember, he put some strawberries into a plastic baggie. No, because
that's
you know
the
what
whole
happens
lunch?
to strawberries in a plastic baggie is that they get sweaty. They get sweaty and mush. So you've got this fermented strawberry mash, and then this. So I did choose the school lunches often. He did his best.
By the time I got to 8th or 9th grade, I started noticing all the other kids were either buying sodas or had sodas packed with them. And I still had, a juice box. And I took a really, really detailed look around and calmly, I'm sure, told my mom, I said, "I need to bring a soda from now on. It's time that I can have a soda at lunch every day." Okay. My boy's growing up.
My boy.
No more juicy juice. Well, maybe once in a while, some juicy juice.
Obviously you want a little juicy juice. Maybe like a Capri Sun every once in a while,
Donald Trump that guy was on TV a lot this week. The president
was
on TV a lot. So we've got a bunch of different interviews. We've got, we'll get to it, but I want to start with his interview on ABC News with Terry Moran.
Never heard of him.
Who I hadn't heard of either. He's in his late 60s. He's been there a long time. I don't follow the network news that much. Few choice clips from this I want to play. And the first one is discussing bringing back or potentially bringing back Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who, by the way, still in El Salvador.
Was he supposed to go to El Salvador?
No, he wasn't. He was very specifically not supposed to go anywhere and not supposed to go specifically there.
Okay.
This is not an innocent, wonderful gentleman from Maryland.
I'm not saying he's a good guy. It's about the rule of law. The order from the Supreme Court stands,
He came
sir.
into our country illegally.
You could get him back. There's a phone on this desk.
I could.
You could pick it up, and with all the power of the presidency, you could call up the president of El Salvador and say, "Send him back right now."
And if he were the gentleman that you say he is, I would do that.
But the court has ordered you to facilitate that.
I'm not the one making this decision. We have lawyers that don't want to do this.
But the buck stops in this office.
No. I follow the law. You want me to follow the law? If I were the president that just wanted to do anything, I'd probably keep him right where he is.
Supreme Court.
Okay, lot there.
Weak. Wait, so if he wanted to, he could make a phone call to keep him where he is?
You'd think his lawyers would tell him not to say that because they're arguing like it's out of our hands. It's up to the president of El Salvador. And he's like, well, yeah, sure. I'm the president. I can do whatever I want.
But I can't. But then also I can't.
I'm going to throw my lawyers under the bus. My lawyers are telling me to ignore the Supreme Court.
Because of the law.
Which I'm openly doing. But I could follow, but I want to follow. You want to follow the law. If I wanted to, I could leave him there. Are you not?
Which I want to.
What are you saying?
Which I do want to do.
I could call him. Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's just admitting it. He is saying the truth of it, which is, yeah, sure, I could, but I'm not going to.
And the buck does not stop with me, the president. No.
Oh, there's no buck. There's no buck anywhere.
I could do it. I can do almost anything I want, but not. I have lawyers.
But why would I want to bring that criminal back?
Because they told you to. They said you have to.
And speaking of, they're still saying he's a criminal.
This is wild, though.
When we have criminals, murderers, criminals in this country, we have to get them out, and we're doing it.
By law.
And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
Yeah, that was Photoshop.
That was Photoshop. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay.
Oh, the big break of a lifetime.
Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it was Photoshop? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine.
No.
Boo.
Okay, I'm frustrated.
He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but they're there
in
now.
your picture.
Terry.
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
Well, we'll take a look at that.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why don't you
sir.
just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
It's contested.
I feel there's a lot of frustrating things about that clip, but one of which is, I mean, honestly, when he says, do you want me to show you the photo? I'm like, yeah, bring it out right now. Let's see it, because they're going back and forth when it's so clearly, put it up on the screen, the photo. It is so clearly just photoshopped, typed in. There we go. MS-13 on top of the picture.
That's what it says. That's what he said. MS-13. That's the tattoo.
They're sitting there going back and forth, and nobody's looking at the photo to that is clearly a Photoshop job.
If they were real, okay. I mean, if I hate how the interviewer is even like dignifying this, or it's contested. Yeah. Well, we'll take another look. Agree to disagree.
Right.
No. You're correct, and you know you're correct.
Yes.
Look at these. if you were going to get those tattooed in a darker ink that would show up on, like, what are we talking about? Wouldn't you have them aligned with your knuckles instead of straight on,
doesn't even
as
work.
if they were typed? So either the president wants you to just ignore what you see, like don't believe your own eyes, or he's got a real problem, because I don't think there's very few like non-tech savvy seniors who wouldn't look at this and know that MS-13 are not actually on his fingers.
One would hope.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag, I think, honestly, because there's this where he just says whatever, and he says partly what he's told, obviously. Like, he's like, well, yeah, I held up the photo and look at it, it's there. He's one of the few people, I think, that can look at that photo and go like, yeah, it's the tattoo. Like, he doesn't know what MS Paint is. He doesn't know what Photoshop is. He doesn't, like, everything's computer to him, right? So, like, he's just doesn't get it. But also, he's lying. Even that photo has the tattoos and then the word added underneath, which aren't part of the tattoo.
Right. Would you write marijuana, smiley, cross, and skull?
And that photo was then taken and photoshopped over. It's like there are several levels of like, well, we took that and we put the words on, and that wasn't enough. So we took a screenshot of that and put the letters on. I feel like there's this weird deja vu thing going on with this. I feel like it's like we're back in like 2017 talking about like a Photoshop tattoo. How like you look at it like, well, it would curve over the knuckle, like that's just how like human hands work. But again, in like 2017, just like if you're a reporter and you're interviewing somebody, have it in front of you, have it ready to go, have the photo, print out the photo. You know you're going to talk about this one case, so maybe physically have the image that you're going to be referencing with you. Why would you let him walk over you and say that like, well, it's contested, it's this? No, just be accurate. This is your one chance. Like he said, chance of a lifetime, your one chance. You will never talk to him again, ever again. That's true of most people. Maybe Brett Baier will like get another, like there are people who are like, oh, you get another chance. If you are interviewing Donald Trump, it's the one time. So make it count. And I guess this does a little bit.
Break.
And don't desperately try to move on when you have got him. Like maybe he was doubting himself. Like, oh shit, I don't want to look stupid. Maybe MS-13 really was on there. No, you know what you saw. You know that the president is lying to your face, and he's doing it in service of a violation of a Supreme Court order. Right? We've crossed the Rubicon. We're over there. This is your chance. And you're like, well, agree to disagree on the basic facts in front of your face.
It's absurd. And aside from the fact that like, you know, these particular tattoos aren't like known MS-13 tattoos, aside from the fact that on all of his paperwork whenever he was detained and like determined to be in a gang, none of them reference tattoos. There's no like, oh yeah, we saw the tattoos. But aside from that, just like it's just very frustrating. Do a better job, because also the aftermath of this, you see tons of really stupid accounts and right-wing slop propagandist accounts. I won't even name them because bad and worthless, but they're all being like, oh, look at this exchange. The reporter says it wasn't photoshopped, and then he says, I'm not an expert later. Like, how embarrassing for him. Like, because of the way he handled it, people are like, victory for Trump, when if you watch it, he's clearly just full of it. It's very frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you completely, but this is also, again, why I'm like, throw that picture up, put it on screen somehow, show people, because they're just sitting there arguing back and forth, and then this shit takes root. The reality is Trump was getting angry, so he wants to move it so that he can get the most out of this, so he doesn't walk out of the room or whatever. Have him walk out of the room.
Go for it. Again, it's your one chance.
Pushing. I'm looking at this again. It does feel as though they put the MS-13 above to try to stretch it. Like the marijuana plant is the M, the smiley face is the S, but somehow a skull means 3.
They're clearly they saw the tattoos, and then someone's like, no, this is interpreted as MS-13. Let me put it on here as a visual aid so that Trump will get it. And then Trump's like, oh, wow, these were his tattoos. It says MS-13. And they're like, yep, well, whatever.
Yeah, I see that.
And he went with it.
What a
yeah, it's also, and because we talked about this on Monday, and then I think at our Patreon hangout too, and just like this seeming idea that, because he's, you know, when he's talking, he's asked about like the Supreme Court case, like, yeah, my lawyers tell me that we won 9-0. It just seems like Stephen Miller's like, hey, my liege, you know, like he's just whispering these lies to him, and he just believes whatever. Like, he's not actually checked in to so much of what's going on. It's very clear you have this weird shadow Nazi freak just sort of like telling him what he wants to hear, what's easy. Yeah, it's MS-13. Here's the tattoos. We won 9-0. It's actually illegal to facilitate the return of this man. Like, it's just say whatever. He'll repeat it.
There's been no consequence so far. So, all right, before we move on from this ABC News interview, we can watch the quick fun one about the Declaration of Independence.
And of course, you have the Declaration of Independence.
What does it mean to you?
Well, it means exactly what it says. It's a declaration. It's a declaration of unity and love and respect, and it means a lot. And it's something very special to to our country.
His face is like, the fuck you say?
The Declaration of Respect? I mean,
and love.
Between what? Us and
love.
The King of England? And love and unity? I don't know. Yeah, you put him on the spot. He doesn't have a thing ready to go about the Declaration of Independence. He knows what it is, right?
He was already the president. We can't do this anymore. It's not like, first 100 days, Trump. Yeah, it's a declaration. They just put it up. He's going to say whatever. He was the president already for 4 years. He should know what to say when some fucking asshole asks him what the Declaration of Independence means to him. What absurdity.
He should, but he doesn't give a fuck. Everything he does shows that he doesn't know or understand our Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, America in general. He's got it. He's never needed to study U.S. history.
It's just like, bro, you had a practice run already. You've done this. Just say it's because the Declaration that I'm the king. Just say that. Who cares? Sorry, Jonathan.
It's about our kings are great and it's me. That's what they wrote. They knew I was going to come along 250 years later. I'm going to be the president during the big one. There's other stuff in this.
Why did we create an office of president?
The interviewer points out that no one has been referred from the department, from DOJ to the Department of Justice for fraud, despite them uncovering so much fraud. And Trump's like, how did you know that? How do you know that? Yes, we've referred. Yes, there's lots of fraud that we're going to do fraud cases. And he goes, okay. He says, okay.
Bad job, but what else are you going to do? He said the thing. All right.
I guess we don't know. We don't know for a fact, right? They don't reveal ongoing investigations, but you'd think they would want to promote all the fraud they found.
That would be everywhere.
They're going to get to it later. They got to do Fauci, Hunter Biden, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden.
Oh yeah,
maybe Harris.
Fauci's
I don't know. The list is probably long, and then you do the DOJ fraud that they definitely found and that there's proof of.
No one wants that, though. That's like the second season of a TV show that has to relitigate the whole first season instead of moving on. People are done with Fauci. They don't want to do a big Fauci. I'm sure some people.
They are not.
RFK wants to prosecute Fauci, certainly.
I can't remember when I've shared things on here with everybody or just you guys, but I finished listening to the clip was online too, but I finished listening to that Pete Buttigieg, Andrew Schultz conversation. It was very frustrating. But there's just this one moment where talking about Social Security fraud, and Buttigieg very calmly breaks it down, saying well, first off, there are people on Social Security who die, and so it might take maybe a month or two for systems to get caught up, so maybe a check sent out. But then he explains the thing that we all know by now, which is that the system's out of date. And there's just a glitch in the system, and it lists people from the 1800s, but that doesn't mean that people are getting paid. And these clowns are like, oh. And
why didn't Elon explain that?
But and then one of them goes, see, I just thought it was a fact. And it's why? You haven't seen shit, man. Why would you think that's a fact?
Here's what I'll say to that and them. Great that you heard the truth and that you accept that is the truth.
Yes.
Great. Maybe use this as an opportunity to rethink your media diet and where you get your information. And specifically, maybe rethink the idea of trusting anything Elon Musk says at face value. Maybe the fact that you're like, oh, I thought it was a fact, and it's not, when in fact it is a straightforward lie. Maybe that can sort of inform you in the future when Elon Musk once again says a lie after a lie after a lie after a lie. Literally 1 month ago, exactly 1 month ago, he said he expects arrests for fraud from DOJ's findings tomorrow, April 2nd. I don't think that happened yet.
Why did he say that?
Why did he say that?
Why?
I guess that podcast proves the point. It doesn't matter. Just say it. Say people were arrested yesterday. We made a big announcement. Just say it.
They will start doing that, won't they? They'll just do that.
They say that skin is the final boundary in the escape room of life, the great uniting prison of humankind, at least until we can achieve the ultimate dream of uploading our consciousness into robots shaped like dinosaurs. But until then, you should check out Peak's Radiant Skin Duo. I did. According to Peak, it is backed by doctors, so that's neat. Also neat is the Sun Goddess Matcha, which is designed to give you a no jitters, sustained energy with something called L-theanine. And then there is the BT Fountain Electrolytes that will hydrate your flesh and lock in moisture. Become a prison for moisture, like your skin is a prison for your soul. For now. Also, since Peak quadruple screens for toxins, it contains no heavy metals or pesticides or mold. That's good, I guess. I think so. So, if you're ready to stop feeling like a raisin and glow up from the inside out, now is the time. Get 20% off plus a free rechargeable frother and glass beaker with my exclusive link. peaklife.com/more news. That's PIQUE life.com/more news. Don't wait. Your body and your skin will thank you.
Okay. Let's move on to the cabinet meeting. As you know,
was it funny?
Trump, yes, it was, in a morbid kind of way. Once a month now, Trump has these like public cabinet meetings that aren't cabinet meetings. It's just like they go around the table and everyone gives their little report, which is filled with praise for Trump and what a great job he's doing. And I don't know how even MAGA people watch this. It's very uncomfortable. Like you'd think they'd be like, all right, tone it down.
I've seen that. I have seen a few people. I saw. I mean, it's very similar to the right-wing influencer White House press sort of like thing that they're doing now, where it's just like, praise us for 1 hour. Thank you. You're welcome. We're done.
Yeah, I get why Trump likes it, but
100%. Ann Coulter the other day was like, can we stop with these like Kim Jong-un like cabinet meetings? Like of all people, it is off-putting. It's weird.
An amount of, supporters, GOP ghouls that are criticizing this kind of shit.
Well, because it came out of nowhere. Like, why are they suddenly like this? Why is Trump and everyone around him suddenly like weird sycophants and authoritarians? It's so weird.
Maybe the thing that we've all been talking about for years is happening.
Nah,
obviously.
Nah. I don't want to shit on that. I hope so. I hope you're right. I just I would be shocked.
No,
I'll be shocked when it happens.
I don't. What I meant, I need to clarify. I don't mean that they're coming around. I mean, slipping into an authoritarian state.
Oh yeah.
I mean that. Like, cry harder, libs. Just that kind of energy at us for complaining about, or not complaining, rightly calling out what we see. Anyway, let's watch the fucking thing.
Yeah, this is Attorney General Pam Bondi talking about what a great job we've done fentanyl-wise. What a great job Trump has done fentanyl-wise.
I was at DEA yesterday, and they said to me, you, Donald Trump, have taken the handcuffs off of DEA agents. And as a result of, since you have been in office, President Trump, your DOJ agencies have seized more than 22 million fentanyl pills, 3,400 kilos of fentanyl since you've been your last 100 days, which saved, are you ready for this, media? 258 million lives. Kids are dying every day because they're taking this junk laced with something else. They don't know what they're taking. They think they're buying a Tylenol or an Adderall and a Xanax, and it's laced with fentanyl, and they're dropping dead, and no longer because of you, what you've done.
Wait.
I'm sorry. What? How did you get at these numbers, ma'am?
I mean, I don't know how she arrived at 258 million, because the day before it was 119, I think. So obviously, right off the bat, that's 3/4 of the country that I don't think would have died of a fentanyl overdose in the last 3 months. Obviously. Can't believe I even have to point that out. However, I got a go into this a little bit more.
Do it.
He's going to Jonathan it.
I have to Jonathan this.
Do it.
You're also here and you're fired up.
If you're listening, you won't see this, but we're going to put a graph on screen. The number of pills containing fentanyl seized by law enforcement increased greatly from 2017 to 2023. In 2023, when Joe Biden was the president, we seized over 115 million fentanyl pills. So we're not even on pace to break that record. And also, it used to be bad. They would point out, the Republicans, that it was bad that seizures of fentanyl had gone up because that meant more people were trying to bring in fentanyl. And I know there's no fucking point in doing a gotcha.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Marjorie Taylor Greene, but I have to.
No, there's not, but it's so hard not to.
I have to play this clip. This is from 2023.
I want you to know that in 2020, there were 4.8 thousand pounds of fentanyl seized by CBP. But in 2021, fiscal year 2021, it increased to 11.2 thousand pounds of fentanyl was seized by the CBP. That is a direct result of Biden administration failure policies. Now, here we are to date, fiscal year 2023, they have already seized 12.5 thousand pounds of fentanyl.
Question, did she continue this point when this information was released about Donald Trump's administration? Did she make that same argument?
Well, no, you cut off the clip because then she's like, and guess what that means? Media. And then she looks into the camera and she goes, that means Joe Biden saved 500 million lives.
That would have been great to see.
I don't even want to pat myself on the back of because it took 3 minutes to look that up because I was like, wait a minute, didn't that used to be bad? And then also, I have to bring this up because I did this whole rant to my wife last night. I'm like, the Bondi, the lives. And she's like, what are you saying? What words are you saying to me? And then she's like, wait, go over those numbers again. And I was like, 3,400 kilos, 22 million pills, 258 million lives. And she's like, so how many different slices would each pill have had to be cut into? And I'm like, that's a good point. That means each pill has to be cut into 12 different little pieces in order to overdose 258 million people. Are you ready for that, media?
No, it's so wild.
Maybe they're lying.
But no one's going to think critically about it. Not the people that you would want to.
Oh, I just love, it's absurd. And that whole entire meeting is full of absurdities like that. It's very funny when she goes to the camera. Hegseth does this too. They're all very, very aware of what their job is, which is to only play to the cameras. And we're actually the Fox News administration, or not even that. They're one news network or whatever. One of the worst.
Newsmax.
Newsmax.
Pam Bondi's basically Truman Burbank at this point. She's on camera. You can find her on TV at any hour of every day. She doesn't do anything except talk on TV. And then when a Trump administration official looks to the camera, they're about to say the dumbest made-up bullshit you've ever heard.
World. As soon as they shift over.
I'm going to look into your eyes so you believe what I'm saying.
It's the Kristi Noem in her little outfits, her little camo outfits, just doing her photo ops. It's just pageantry, which, a lot of politics is pageantry. It is only that. Pageantry and lies. We love their little costumes, don't we, folks? It is a fun tell, though. If they look at the camera, just get ready,
That's
ready.
The rule.
But it's
Hegseth's law.
You think even a little bit critically.
Exactly.
If you think even a little bit critically about it, you're like, well, wait, what is it? Is fentanyl coming from Mexico, or are we not detaining people and getting them out of the country? Which it just doesn't track. Where did you get all of this fentanyl if people are now not coming here across the border, or if you guys are doing such an amazing job? But anywho,
and this stuff works.
That's fine.
It
does.
When you read, which I stupidly do, all these focus groups with Trump voters or people who were on the fence and voted for Trump.
Why would you be dumb enough to do that?
Well, it seems like he's doing a lot of stuff. He's signing all these executive orders. I always see him on TV doing stuff. It seems like he's doing a lot more than Biden, who did stuff and just wasn't on TV all the time bragging about it. But Trump gets it. He's the optics president. It looks like he's doing stuff, even when it's made up nonsense like this cabinet meeting.
Yeah, and it looks like Joe Biden is hiding because maybe he was a little bit.
Yeah, which more and more makes me like, I don't know, we don't have to get into a whole Buttigieg conversation, but the more I see how he plays on TV and on podcasts, I'm like, he's good at this. He's just good at it. And he doesn't turn people off like AOC. And we could talk about why she does that. Like all those things are true.
There's a whole,
but like we might have to throw in our lot with PD.
Oh, I'm getting ready for that. I would prefer to see some shifts from him. I think that if over the next couple of years he continues the trajectory he's on, I get it.
He's communicating very well.
Well, we need this.
I understand that.
We need this. We need someone who is able to walk into fucking Andrew Schultz's podcast environment and sit down and put up with the nonsense and be a good sport. And then really, because he doesn't get triggered. He's really nice. He's, a millennial. He's younger than other people. And he fits into that. He can go out there and communicate a message. And seems to be.
Yeah, but I guess here's the thing.
I'm not hanging my hat on that.
I know.
I'm just pleased that someone is doing it.
Yeah, that's a skill. He'd be great at communicating in that way for people. I would say he's not the only one who can do that. He seems to be one of the few that chooses to.
Of course.
But like, I can easily see AOC being on with Andrew Schultz and her being like, here's the truth about the Social Security thing. And maybe Andrew Schultz will be a little like sexist about it.
Yeah, he'd be a dick
he would
to her in a way that he was for sure.
That's also, again, we'll have many, many months to talk about that leading up to over the many years. I've got a lot of thoughts about that and how I don't think we should let people like that bully us into not allowing women to run for president. But
of course,
I know you're not saying that either.
No, not at all. I would love get her on there, and I'm sure she will. I genuinely think that I'm not sure.
But I guess my main point is that, like, yes, Pete is very good at that aspect of this, and we need more Democrats who are able to do that and aren't like 90 years old and can talk like a normal fucking person. But I will also say that's not how Trump won. Trump doesn't go on like a media tour of like podcasts and talk normally to people and communicate. No. He lies and it's
he
weird.
Does sound authoritative about stuff.
Yeah, he's a confident man.
And he goes on. Part of it was, it's not like, him on Theo Vaughn is some slam dunk of an interview, but it was a great soundbite that got played around and around and lives rent-free in my head because, it'd make you a damn owl, homie.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see any other clip from it. Maybe
it's an amazing clip. Well, yeah, that was a very humanizing clip.
Yeah, and so my point is going out and just being in those spaces, and for whatever reason, not everyone can do it.
100%.
And so I think it's good that I'm seeing it, regardless of whether or not Pete Buttigieg runs. In a couple years,
he's gonna run. He's gonna run in a couple of years.
He's not denying it.
Yeah,
I just think communication has to be in the top 3 traits of whoever this is going to be. 100%. Because the more you read from voters, the more they think, Democrats and the Democrats, whatever, they're out to sea. They don't have a plan. They don't have anything. And effective communication is the first step in. And yes, he's the guy who's doing it right now.
Yes,
the other guy who's doing it is Gavin Newsom, but he's doing it on the other side.
I was
he's
doing
you
have Pete going out and doing it, and then you have Gavin doing kind of the opposite in his space, and then you have Bernie and AOC sort of like doing their tour, and that's it.
Which is hugely valuable, and like I'm glad they're doing it.
But a different kind of thing, yeah. But again, like Bernie goes, whatever.
Well, once AOC's done with this tour, I'm curious to see if maybe she starts doing more of these appearances. Anyway, what else we got?
So also in that cabinet meeting, Trump was asked, we're talking about the economy, some bad economic numbers came out. GDP shrunk in the first quarter, usually not a good sign. Consumer sentiment is down.
That's good now.
Trump came out saying, of course, that's all Biden's fault, and Q2 stuff's going to be Biden's fault as well. And Peter Navarro was on TV. We're not even going to play this clip, but Peter Navarro's like, listen, if you take out all the tariffs and the stuff we've done, there was positive growth. Okay, but
that's incredible.
That's not what this question is about. A reporter asks him if he is going to get on the phone with President Xi. to talk about trade deals. That's all this is.
I told you before, they're having tremendous difficulty because their factories are not doing business. They made $1 trillion with Biden, $1 trillion, even $1.1 trillion with Biden selling us stuff. Much of it we don't need. You know, somebody said, oh, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30, you know? And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. But we're not talking about something that we have to go out of our way. They have ships that are loaded up with stuff, much of which, not all of it, but much of which we don't need.
Says the man who lives in a golden condo.
You know, you just need to like get rid of your earthly possessions. You need to realize you don't need all that stuff. You need $2.
Trump the Enlightened.
So I do think it's funny. It's like, you don't need to buy them $30. They can live with $3. Like, that's how you raised your kids?
I mean, yeah, that's Lucille Bluth stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, what kind
Instead
of
of 5 cars, have 1 car, right? And your car will cost a few $1,000s extra or whatever.
Have Christmas in your mind this year. Why do you need to buy things that you don't need?
Family.
I know that about 2 months ago, I bought a $70,000 car on the White House lawn and told you all to buy a $70,000 car too.
Did that work?
But, you know, it did not work, incidentally. Inconsistency with the messaging a little bit. Speaking of communication.
This is flailing messaging. And now, of course, he's admitting like, well, the prices are going to go up on stuff. And it's interesting. He mentioned toys because 80% of the toys we have in America come from China. Books, too. Almost every book and kids' book is from China.
Kash Patel's kids' book is from China?
Yeah, Kash Patel has a kids' book.
Doesn't he? Or no, it's a book for adults, but it's for kids.
Okay,
it's for little babies. It's the Trump is King book.
Got
right?
It. Okay,
and like I saved the world.
Yeah. No, I think there's also a story in Rolling Stone out today about how Trump administration officials and Republican officials have been hoarding toilet paper and other home goods, preparing for the prices to go up and for shelves to be open, as Trump says, because he doesn't know what's on a shelf in a store. He doesn't know that they're empty shelves. The shelves will be open. Who cares?
Okay, well, I want to talk about some other non-clip related news, but I do want us to show one more clip. That is fun.
Is it good?
Fun.
No context for this one. But if you're listening, Elon Musk is wearing 2 hats.
2 hats.
I bet that looks funny.
Elon, I love the double hat, by the way. He's the only one that can do that. Get away with it.
Well, Mr. President, they say I wear a lot of hats. It's true. Even my hat has a hat.
This is so funny. What a funny joke. And like, this isn't even like the worst of it. Like, he's done way worse jokes.
But this is the biggest laugh he's maybe ever gotten in his life.
Best moment of his life. It is, because like normally, like the let that sink in thing, and like obviously the very funny Nazi salute he did twice. He usually there's a version of this joke that is more Elon coded, which is like he's like, Elon, you're wearing 2 hats. Like, yeah, it's like a no cap, but like not. It's like the opposite of no. It's like the opposite of no cap.
Are you punching up Elon's material?
It's just like, well, no, I'm actually making it worse because it's like that's a joke where it's like, oh yeah, he doesn't quite understand like this phrase. He's trying to like sound younger than he is, and he gets it wrong, and he kind of stumbles through it. Good job. You said it. You said the right thing. You said I wear many hats. But I will also say, just as a person who he seems desperate to be funny, obviously. He practiced that the night before and he was like rearing to go. He's like, even my hat wears a hat. In the comedy world, Elon, there's a phrase that we use sometimes about jokes. And the phrase is, it's kind of like putting a hat on a hat, which means that you're going too far with the joke and that it's actually not very good. You should maybe tone it down. Like there's a pure joke there and you're putting a hat on the hat and making it worse.
I'm going to just point out one more thing. He doesn't wear a lot of hats. He wears 1 hat. He's the CEO of a bunch of companies, and then he runs Doge, which is the same job, and he runs them poorly and annoys all of his employees. It's a single
It's 1 hat. You're right.
He does. He's not like a jack of all
hat.
trades. He edits and he puts the. All right, fuck him.
I hate it. Hate it. Wish we didn't have to talk about him at all ever.
So we've had a couple of judge rulings when it comes to deportations. So a federal judge in California told the U.S. Border Patrol to stop doing illegal stops and warrantless arrests in the Central Valley of California because they've been detaining and arresting farm workers and laborers indiscriminately because they've roped in U.S. citizens in this as well, and people who are immigrants but have legal documentation, etc. And so the judge said, you can't do that. And the LA Times even wrote in its headline, a federal judge ordered the U.S. Border Patrol to halt illegal stops. It's illegal. Stop doing it.
This is interesting.
So
then online, people are, of course, the predictable cesspool debate online about this, and
they shouldn't have broken the law.
Judges. There is some rule. I can't find this in front of me. I don't know the exact distance of Border Patrol being allowed to, make arrests without a warrant within a certain distance from the border. This is presumably because maybe they've illegally crossed and you've been able to spot them or track them from the border. I believe it's like 100 miles.
It's 100
or
miles.
75 miles.
There's the border zone. Yeah, it's absurd. What you're talking about, this border zone. I think about 2/3 of American citizens actually live within that zone because it is 100 miles from the border, from the coast. The entire state of Florida is impacted by that because every part of Florida is within 100 miles. Like there are entire states that are.
Does the coast count as the border?
I believe so. Yeah.
Interesting.
So up and down, the East Coast, West Coast.
So just to really put a highlight on that, like there are entire states where they don't need a warrant to search,
which is wild.
Which is wild.
Florida, right? Almost everywhere is within 100 miles of the
entire
water.
state of Florida is within 100 miles. I think Maine probably too.
There might be a pocket in the middle. Maybe Stephen King can write a book about the pocket in the middle.
The pocket,
where you can hide from CBP.
The free zone. But 2 out of 3 people.
Yeah,
and
that's.
Border Patrol
that's as many people were saved by fentanyl, from fentanyl by the administration. So.
They said that they had only been stopping people with known criminal records, but a Cal Matters investigation found that they had no prior knowledge of criminal or immigration history for 77 of the 78 people that were arrested in Kern County.
77 of the 70.
That's none is good.
Yeah,
but
effectively zero.
That's wild. You'd hope those would be reversed.
Yeah.
One would be bad, but at least only one. But God.
No, but they're a criminal for even being here. Shout out to this judge. I think Judge Jennifer Thurston. Do we say her name? Judge Jennifer Thurston. It's a scary time. I mean, this is an important, feels like it should go without saying, ruling, but it is a scary time to be a judge who is making headlines like this.
Clearly judges that are interpreting the law are being attacked by the people who don't want to follow the law.
There was also a Trump-appointed judge in Texas who said the president can't use the Alien Enemies Act to send migrants to El Salvador. It only applies to the Southern District of Texas. But of course, the judge is like, well, the Alien Enemies Act is for use in wartime, and we are not at war with Venezuela, nor does some Venezuelan migrants, even if they are gang members, that doesn't constitute an invasion.
That's not
from
war
Venezuela.
Stuff. Yeah.
The Supreme Court's gonna weigh in on the whole AEA thing as a whole. I guess not that it matters because they're bringing.
I was gonna say this is all say that's a great ruling. I'm glad that judge is doing that. That's great. Okay, now we know what the law is, but they don't care.
Yeah, I mean we're still.
They're gonna keep not caring.
You got to go through the formalities of law stuff because we want to maintain the rule of law.
Yeah, I know. You have to go through the process to prove that they don't care, and they're going to keep not caring.
Well, because he's ignoring it, but then saying, well, we're following the law, and the lawyers are telling me to follow the law, which is this, and if I did the other thing, it would be against the law, and I guess John Roberts could be like, no, let me clarify and put this in clearer language than the clear language, but whatever. Mike Waltz, National Security Advisor, is out. He's being made ambassador to the United Nations, and Marco Rubio will be interim National Security Advisor. Thank you for your attention to this matter, which is what Trump puts at the end of every Truth Social post
so
announcing something.
I mean, when we were prepping for today's show, we're like, well, Mike Waltz is out. So weird because the scandal's kind of blown over, but now Mike Waltz is out. And then we woke up to, he's just being moved. And now Marco Rubio has 2 jobs, jobs to do poorly.
See, now that is somebody who wears many hats.
Marco Rubio
that's the appropriate use of the phrase.
Yes, Secretary of State, interim National Security Advisor, total piece of shit, little bitty toady to Trump, guy who
Marco
used to not like Trump openly. You know, many hats, wear many things.
Exactly.
Congratulations, Marco Rubio.
Yeah, congratulations, Marco. And Mohsen Madawi was released from immigration custody on Wednesday. This is great. A federal judge said that his actions were protected by the First Amendment. There's still a deportation case against him. They still want to deport him, but the judge said he should not be jailed one more minute over this. And
seems reasonable.
He left and he said, I am saying it clear and loud to President Trump and his cabinet. I am not afraid of you, which is a good thing for people to say.
Yes.
Love it.
I'm not going to, but...
Yeah. But they're not afraid of you.
This is a good, happier note to wrap up this show on. I mean, honestly, thank fucking God. There is a lot more to go for him on this journey, and there are a lot of people that also need to be released. But we'll take this as a start. I really am thrilled. Obviously, it's a good sign. Or it's a good thing anyway.
For now, a good thing. It's a good thing. There are no good signs, but
you know
it's a
what
good
else is a good thing and a good sign? Liking and subscribing. Oh my gosh. Crush that little likey subscribe button. Ew.
Katie, what happened just then?
I don't know. Too much caffeine. We love you very much.
Much.
Stop.